Welcome, everyone. Today is the final episode of our downtown Main Street villages and also historic plazas show. This has been a series we've been doing all month long of July as part of Independent Retailer Month. But of course, we cover Main Streets, historic downtowns, villages all the time on Big Blend Radio. And we're going to be doing a lot more of that and actually doing a special edition Big Blend magazine that will be out in November to really showcase these destinations as places where we can support small businesses like restaurants, cafes, shops, go to museums, that kind of thing, and have a really enjoyable experience in places that really maintain their historic legacy and integrity of community. So stay tuned on this show. We've got 5 different travel writers joining us. We're going to start off with Katie Walls, who takes us to Georgia. Then we're going to go to the Southwest with Debbie Stone, who takes us to New Mexico. Sharon Kurtz, who takes us to Texas. We go up into the Cascades region of Washington State with Joelle Maishi, and then we close off in Portugal with Judy Carnia. So this is a special show. Enjoy the different segments. And again, watch out for our digital magazine coming out in November. You can sign up for our newsletter. That's the best thing. And I will put that link in the episode notes. I'm going to say the best place to go to sign up for that newsletter is to go to nationalparktraveling.com or blendradioandtv.com. Thank you so much. Enjoy. But right now we're going to go to Americus, Georgia. Yes, we hear people say America. Well, this is Americus, and this is in Georgia, and I don't know where in Georgia, but we're going to learn now from Kathleen Walls, who's an amazing travel writer and also an author of fiction and nonfiction. You can go to her website, AmericanRoads.net, and the link is in the episode notes for her article, which is really focusing on the architecture, but this is a very historic downtown area. It's even got a hardware store like those old school ones, and it's super cool. So welcome back, Katie. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's always good to be on with you.
We love this. I want to tell you, it's so cool about your hashtag. When I'm on your site, AmericanRoads.net, and you talk about your hashtag so everyone can follow you as ARGH, American Roads, and then Global Highways, which is what your website is about. It's hashtag ARGH. So every time I go, it's R.
I know. I thought about that when I did it. And I forget to use it myself, which is terrible.
But it's fun. It's so fun. And we just did a story with you on Key West. And so we should have told everybody there because we could play pirates, But where is Americus in Georgia?
Americus is very close to Plains, Georgia, where Jimmy Carter was born and raised and grew up. And part of my tour when I visited America, which was just a few weeks before Jimmy Carter passed away, part of what we did was go visit Plains and tour Plains. And it was just very moving. And then hearing just a few weeks later when he passed away. But the interesting thing in Plains, nobody thinks of him as Mr. President. Jimmy. Or Mr. Jimmy. He's related or friends with pretty much everybody in town.
Yeah.
Americus it's not a large city. It's a very small city, but it's the closest metropolitan area to Plains. Kind of the keynote spot, if you want to call a spot a keynote, is the Windsor Hotel, which is a fantastic. It's a 5-story. It's a red brick Victorian building. It has towers. I'm sorry, it's only 3 open stories, but it looks like it's 5 stories.
Oh, yeah, because of the way it's built. Yeah, because there's 3 stories for the tower.
It's back, way back, 1890. The chandeliers were from 1890. So right in the late 1800s is when it was built. And both Jimmy Carter and Franklin Roosevelt held their conferences and campaign meetings in the one of the meeting rooms at the Windsor. And the Windsor has a ghost story, of course. There's several of them. There's the two that I know of. One of them is about Fred, who was a gentleman who worked for years and years in the ball, which is called Fred's. And the other one is a young lady who was a server there, her and her daughter. Apparently she was a black lady, involved in probably a relationship with some white gentleman. And she fell or tumbled or somehow went down the elevator, and her little girl also. And the little girl is often seen in the hotel. So,
And
oh,
did
it
she
opened
do?
in 1892 is when it opened.
Oh, wow. So the little girl was, does she play tricks on people?
The little girl is just seen. She's never does any harm or anything. It's just people that claim to have seen her in there.
Oh, wow. What's the other story?
The other one is Fred, the gentleman who worked in the bar, cafe, dining area,
And
and
so people see him?
he just lived a very old age, worked there all his life, and people see him too.
That's
And
cool though.
it's a neat place.
Do you go to hotels that are haunted, like, to
Oh,
stay
whenever
there?
I have
Like,
a chance, oh yes,
yeah, you'll
I
take that over.
very rarely ever see me. I will take any kind of historic hotel or bed and breakfast that has a history and a story over a 5-star cookie cutter that's exactly like everyone else. Because to
This
me, the
is,
story is what makes a place interesting. I mean,
it was
if the
just,
hotel has air conditioning and a bed and a bathroom and free parking and Wi-Fi, I'm happy. If
yeah,
it doesn't, I'm not.
yeah. And if it has a ghost story,
And a ghost
bonus.
story just makes it a little better. The cute thing, the Windsor has an old-fashioned telephone booth, and it's a really
Oh,
fancy booth right there in the lobby. And the first time I was there, I've been there about 3 times. The first time that I was there, I didn't realize it. I picked up the phone just playing with it. You know, you think it's just a dead phone, and it's connected to the desks. The desk clerk came on and said, "Can I help you? Didn't know you were on here."
wow. So a lot of famous people were there because you said that in your article on AmericanRoads.net, you say the Roosevelt Boardroom was named the Lucky Room. So because of all the political campaigns, but you also
Right.
said people like John L. Sullivan, former heavyweight champion, boxing champion, has been there. And then also Al Capone, that's huge. And then Lindbergh, like,
Right.
was there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Lindbergh. That's a whole other story. Lindbergh's story is crazy.
Right.
That's
When
a,
I was a little bitty kid, my grandmother used to try and keep me. I guess I tended to roam around even those days, tried to make me stay closer to home by telling me, "You got to be careful. Remember, Lindbergh baby got kidnapped." And it wasn't until I was pretty much grown up that I realized Lindbergh's family had millions of dollars that they could have ransomed the kid with. My family didn't have $1 million, so there wasn't any point in them going after me.
it's like the Hearst family too, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's a very interesting story, the Patty Hearst story.
that's a whole other. We're gonna go off on a tangent. I'm gonna be
We're
good here.
not
I'm gonna
having
be
to doing
good.
that.
I know, but it's fun. It's fun. So you've got history there, but then the theater, that's the other thing. I
I'm
think.
sorry, it was Floyd, not Fred, that was a
Oh,
gentleman.
okay.
He
Well,
worked as a
close.
bellman, and the
Oh,
rest of the
Fred.
pub is named for him, even though he supposedly never drank.
Oh no, he was
Another
there.
really historical building there, which uh, was the right end of the theater, and
Mm.
it was built way back, probably around the same time as okay, it opened in 1921. And of course, it played vaudeville and silent movies and stuff. And then when TV came into its heyday, the theater closed down. And a lot of people didn't even know it was there. And finally, they brought it back, and it's done. It's beautiful now. It's just to go. I saw the Nutcracker there.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
The they do live performances and Broadway plays. All sorts of things are done there now. And
It looks like their sign is an old a neon sign, which is
it is.
commendable.
It's recreated the original neon sign, and they
Mm.
even have the
Awesome.
1928 Moeller pipe organ, which they call Little Mo. It's still there. Fred is the ghost that's there. I got my ghost
Oh,
stories mixed up.
oh, you
But
got your ghosts
got
mixed
my
up.
ghost
Oh,
stories mixed up. Fred is there. Floyd's at the hotel. But
oh,
Fred is apparently someone who the manager at the hotel who did the tour for us, Heather, told us that there was a time when one of the actresses that was performing in one of their stage plays was going upstairs, and she's coming back down the stairs, and she stumbled and she almost fell, and she felt this hand grab her on the back and keep her from falling.
well,
But,
that's nice.
but the thing is, she said Fred has never felt on Monday, so he was an employee and he was off on Mondays when he worked at the theater, so maybe he thinks he's still off.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
But
That's amazing. But I think when you have the old theaters and people keep them intact that way, and like, yes, redesign the sign into old school, what it was is neon and everything. I think that is just a wonderful thing because we want to keep the integrity and the history of a community. And the
they've
old
redone this
theaters are
beautifully.
everything, you
I'll
know?
send you some pictures of that too.
Ah,
It's a
oh,
beautiful
please.
theater.
I love them because the theaters are just so. There's one in Visalia, California, the Fox Theater, and it's almost like Egyptian and Indian at the same time, like elephants painted, and it's like back in the 30s and 40s where these
They
theaters
knew how
were.
to build things then.
It was like yeah.
Chicago. The newer buildings, to me, the newer ones are ugly. I'm sorry, but they're ugly. They're just plain. There's no decoration. They're just solid boxes straight up and down.
Yeah.
I like so
Yeah, because you're going to a theater for art, right? Performance,
yeah, and not only
sometimes
any,
schools too.
any of your old buildings. The Empire Bank building there in Americus, I took a special shot. There's a gargoyle up on it.
Oh, I love
It's
that.
like a neoclassical revival building, and there's columns and gargoyles on all the side, and each one is different. And there's one that's sticking its tongue out, like the social media people are doing today. So many of the
That's a
buildings
funny
there,
way
even
of
the
looking at it.
old church. It's not elaborate and detailed like your Victorian ones. It's a frame building. It's built during the Victorian times, 1884. And when they let us come in and look through it. And when you're looking from the ground up, looking at the ceiling, the way the beams are crisscrossed makes it look like the bow of a ship turned upside down over you. And the stained glass windows are so beautiful.
And the bell tower. I like the bell tower.
Right. They had the spire and the turret. They couldn't build things like that today, I don't think. It wouldn't take the time. And then the little detail work on all your Victorian houses and your buildings had that little bit of detail work on your railings and on your porches and your arches, and just beautiful buildings.
Well, they have like so many different architectural styles, so you can see the different changes through the eras, which is really cool. I'm looking at your article, the Thornton Wheatley Building, the Glover Opera House, the Carnegie Library, and Carnegie did do a lot of investing in libraries, which was a good thing, what he did. And that was built in 1908. And then I want to get to, which is, I think, when we look at Main Streets, there's all these things. So you have the arts, right? You have church. You have a hotel, obviously, because that's when
towns, they're all grouped together. I mean, you don't have a bunch of Walmarts and chain stores. You have usually boutique buildings. The Wheatley building that you mentioned, one of the unique things about it, instead of having a square corner at the front where the entrance is, it's curved. Buildings today, they don't do that. I mean, they're just perfect square. It's easier.
Yeah, I think
just think of the detail going into that.
Yeah, so I think when you look at, I'm looking at how all of this works out it's got everything. That's what a main street or a downtown is.
Right.
There's things like the hardware store.
Right.
So all like boutiques, there's a hardware store.
Yeah.
So it's like what you go to town for versus, you know what I mean? It's like, and people live in the downtown as well.
You could get anything you wanted there probably.
Oh, the hardware store is cool.
The hardware store, the detail work around the roof and that, and the edges, and the little tiny windows, like little ship windows, little round tiny. And inside, you'd find all sorts of things. Downstairs, they got the basement, and then the main floor where you come in, and then upstairs there's a balcony area where they have other stuff. The truck is parked downstairs, not downstairs, I'm sorry, on the main floor when you come in. Oh, they couldn't have gotten it downstairs. And it's used as a display. It's an old Ford truck. But you can find pretty much anything in that store. They call it the maze today.
Exactly, the maze.
And it is. You could get lost in there.
That's a fun thing. But I love hardware stores because you often would find things that you wouldn't. I mean, it was like a mercantile back then.
Right. There's one in Muscle Shoals. I think it's Sheffield is the name. It's been a long time since I've been there. And it's like that. And it's preserved just as it was back in the day. I mean, anything from nails, things you'd never find today in a hardware store.
Wow. So this is known as South Georgia's most complete hardware store.
Right. It was built 1983.
1883.
1883, right.
1883.
The detail work on the corners and at the roof line.
It's beautiful.
Masons have built that would not take that kind of time to do those today.
Well, it's cool because people can go there and go shopping. It's antiques, there's gifts, there's everything. So Americus, Georgia, everyone, check that out when you're traveling through that great state. And don't forget to eat a peach. Yeah, and take a side trip to Plains. Well, thank you so much, Katie. Always fun having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone, the link is in the episode notes, but go to AmericanRoads.net and you'll find it. Thank you so much. So when we talk about downtowns and historic villages and Main Street USA, travel writer Debbie Stone really reminded me that what about historic plazas, especially in the desert Southwest? Plazas are a real part of our country and around the world. So Debbie is here to talk about her backyard, Santa Fe, New Mexico, known as the City Different. And Nancy and I had the opportunity to really explore Santa Fe as well a few years ago, right before the pandemic. Doesn't mean we haven't snuck through there before, like afterwards, I should say. But the downtown is a plaza, and I'm going to say probably, oh my gosh, the architecture, everything has kept historic. It's gorgeous. So, travel writer Debbie Stone, I call you the fire monkey, and I'm going to call you the fire monkey on here. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yes, that is my backyard. I can walk over there. It's like less than a mile from my house, and so I'm very familiar with the plaza. But the Santa Fe Plaza is really special. It's really like the social center of this city, and the city is the capital city of New Mexico. But it's got all these, like you mentioned, there's all these beautiful historic buildings that they've kept authentic, and all these special events that happen there, whether it's concerts at the plaza right there, whether it's New Year's celebrations, whether it's they have wonderful festivals, they have Indian market and a Spanish market, and all these different open air markets of art and crafts, and it's wonderful, and it brings and attracts many people, locals as well as many tourists from all over that come here. And most of the people that I've spoken to, in fact, all the people I've spoken to, when you mention Santa Fe, they're like, "Where do you live?" And I say Santa Fe, and they're like, "Oh, I love that place," And then they talk about the plaza. But this is the plaza dates back to I think it's early 1600s. Founded by the Spanish, and it later served as the endpoint marker of the Santa Fe Trail.
Yeah,
and so
see,
there's even a marker there. Yeah, there's a marker there that even notes it. But it's it has like a melding of cultures. It's got Spanish, Native American, and Mexican cultures, and you're going to find shops that have native jewelry, art, design, everything. And so it's one of these places that it's a hub for the city. And because it's also a National Historic Landmark, it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And the oldest continually occupied building is there, and that's the Palace of the Governors. And that's where you're going to find members from various Native American pueblos all around New Mexico that come here, and they will sell their work in front of the palace. And so you can talk with the people who make their products. You can learn about them, learn about the stones and the jewelry, the silver that they do, or the leather that they do. And it's fascinating. I always tell people, if they're interested in purchasing something authentic made by Native American, that the palace is the place to be, right in front of the palace. And so that is something very unique and very special, I think, and it's been going on for many years. And so, I look at that whole area as a historic district. And it's to me, it's like a living, breathing museum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're living because you got restaurants, you got shops, the galleries, like you're saying, and the plaza downtown. They have food carts and food trucks as well, but also carts. Actually, I'm serious. But I remember going in the summer concert series and seeing top name musicians there. I mean, really good music, and we had a ball. I mean, but when we talk about the architecture around it, a lot of it is it's the authentic adobe, right? Majority of it. But then it also merges into different styles. And then you've got like the basilica, and you've got churches, cathedrals. You've got it is a true downtown because people live around there. They are shopping there. They're going to church there.
They're eating,
There's a lot of food going on. And the Margarita Trail, did we mention that?
Absolutely. And that's throughout the city, but there's a lot of places, there's a lot of restaurants and cafes and watering holes, and margaritas are very, very, very popular, as are the green chili cheeseburgers and, all that. And everybody's got their different styles of making guacamole and, and then of course there's the chili, and we've talked about this before, red or red and green, and you can say Christmas for that. and the different kinds of chili that that are very widely used on a lot of the cuisine that is here. And it's just to me it's a very vibrant, lively place. And I always feel really, I don't know, very special that I live here, and when I go to the plaza, it feels really like a very special place to me, even after all these years.
Also you've got these museums, right? And the
Ugh.
Palace of Governors, and by the way, Ben-Hur was written there. I'm just going to say that, at the palace, way back when. But you've got museums there, and Nancy and I got to finally meet you in person those years ago, at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, which is just a few steps away from the plaza, right? It's not far. And then you've got other art galleries and museums right in the downtown. The Capitol building is a few blocks from the plaza, right? So is it considered the plaza or like an old town, or is that would be separate? That's different, right? A plaza is a
Different.
plaza.
A plaza
Yeah.
is just, you think of a plaza and it really
It's a
is
square.
a square, and in the middle of it, people are there, and it's like, there's a bandstand in our plaza, but it's where people gather, but it's surrounded by these shops, by these restaurants, by these museums, and art galleries, of which there are many, many, many art galleries in Santa Fe. It's one of the top art markets in the country. So there are plenty of art galleries and plenty of shops, and lots of places where you can sit outdoors and sit at a cafe, get yourself a drink, something to eat, listen to music. People, when they come to these bandstand concerts in the summer, people are dancing in the plaza. It's really a vibrant place. It's also a place where there is gatherings. So whether it's where there's a political cause, whatever it is. And then there's all these markets that are, that people set up booths all over the place for blocks surrounding the plaza and in the plaza. And so, it's really a multi-use place for the community and for visitors.
I love it. It's so much fun and so much art, so much to learn and enjoy. There is, very historic hotels, and it's also on historic Route 66, which is celebrating its centennial in 2026. It's got to have that 6 in there, right? So that's another thing about the plaza itself. But the other thing is you've got I think they call it even the very first inn of our country, which is the La Fonda. And even if you don't stay there, you can eat there, you can go upstairs and maybe have a rooftop cocktail, and you can go on a tour, which you've done, and Nancy and I have done, of the artwork that's there.
Yes, it's a wonderful, that in itself, that hotel is like a museum, because it's got really incredible artwork made by very well-known artists who came to the Southwest and just found their I don't know what you call it, their niche or whatever, but they were really struck like Georgia O'Keeffe. It's like, whether it's the landscape, the sky, everything, the adobe, the nature. And so that tour, I suggest, if anybody ever comes to Santa Fe and they stay there or don't stay there, you can still take that tour, and it's free. So that's given by a docent, which is wonderful. And then there's, fabulous hotels like like you said, like La Fonda, but there's other hotels that are surrounding it. Yes. And I was just going to say there's a haunted hotel, La Posada, which I stayed at, which has a great ghost story there as well. So if anybody's into that, that's a place to check out. And, it's just, and all these beautiful, there's flowers in the spring and summer, and courtyards, and little places tucked away. Like you said, the cathedral, the Loretto Chapel with its mysterious staircase. It goes on and on. So there's much to do, much to see, much to eat, much to shop and enjoy.
And what's amazing to me is in like 10 minutes, you can drive into the Santa Fe National Forest,
yes.
right there from the downtown. Because we stayed at the La Fonda when we were there, and then also the Governors, and which I love both of them for different reasons. The Governors, you get to have sherry or tea and bizcochito at 4:00 in the afternoon. And when we were there were monsoon storms in the afternoon. So we sat and had our sherry and bizcochito. And then the storm comes in, goes out really quick. And we continued on and made friends and, had a good time exploring. But you could go to the plaza and spend like 3 days and still not kind of, you could just take it nice and easy through the museums and not have to go anywhere else if you wanted. Just explore that
Absolutely.
for
And
those few days.
there are wonderful walking tours that they give in the plaza and
That's right.
around the
That's what we
surrounding,
did.
where they talk about the buildings and the history and the people and everything and architecture. And so those are really, really, I think, very informative and give people a sense of place and time in terms of the history of this area. But there's just like I said, and it's all very walkable, which is a wonderful thing as well.
Awesome. Well, everyone, we've got links to Debbie's articles on Santa Fe, especially regarding the Plaza region, linked in the episode notes. I mean, I know she's written tons over the years, so we'll be gathering what we can for you. She lives there, so she's written a lot. She's even got one on the cooking school where you learned how to cook like Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yeah, using her recipes. Yeah,
Yes.
using her recipes. Yeah,
Yes, that's amazing. Amazing. So everyone stay tuned for that. Just look in the episode notes. Thank you so much, Fire Monkey.
Well, thank you for having me.
So as part of our downtown features where we're talking about main streets, villages, historic downtowns, old towns, even plazas, travel writer and award-winning photographer Sharon K. Kurtz is back here. She has a podcast with us that airs every first Wednesday. You can keep up with her at SharonKKurtz.com. And today she's going to give a shout out to a destination that she just came back from, and it is Granbury. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I've got a link to her article about Granbury in the episode notes. And apparently this is a destination if you like small villages and downtowns, small towns. This is like one of the best of, right? Sharon, how are you?
It is voted the best historic small town of 2025. It's got
Wow.
a charming downtown, and it was founded in 1887. Granbury was the first city to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places in Texas, and
Wow.
it has more than 40 historic landmarks.
So this is in Texas, North Texas. So when you're in Dallas, is this north or south of Dallas or
It
east,
is
west?
90 minutes west from Dallas. An hour and a half, you'll be in this charming little town.
And what a courthouse too. So it does actually have a square. And that's what's interesting because, travel writer Debbie Stone talked about Santa Fe on this show. And she was like, well, it's the plaza. And I'm like, oh yeah, we have plazas and squares. And so you're bringing in, they have a square, which is kind of like a plaza. And when we think about the Southwest, it's like, yeah, that's what we have in the Southwest. And, when I look at it, it looks absolutely charming. And I love that. Well, Texas loves its history, right? And you're based in Texas. It really does love its history, but it seems like they have kept the integrity of the old buildings there.
Yes, it is. It's a square. In Texas, we call them squares. And a lot of the buildings around the square still date to the 1800s. So it's very charming. They might be, a coffee shop or a selling souvenirs, but they're still in those old timey buildings. And the other interesting thing is its haunted history.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. It has an opera house in it that is still the same opera house from the 80s. And it is said that John Wilkes Booth escaped to Granbury after he assassinated President Lincoln.
Oh my gosh.
His spirit haunts the opera house. And so they have ghost tours in Granbury that are lots of fun.
And then there's a jail. I was reading in your article, and everyone, the article's on FYI, the number 50plus.com, again, linked in the episode notes. But you went to the Hood, so it's in Hood County. So it's like, it's in the Hood, just saying. Hood County Jail Museum. And so, those jails kind of give me the freakies, I get the creeps.
It is. And then when you go at night, it's just really eerie. So this little jail is, just, you can imagine it wouldn't be a very comfortable place that you'd want to be in. And yes, ghosts of inmates haunt their cells and leave messages inside, they say. Now, I took the tour and it was eerie, but no cell person talked to me when I was on the tour.
Wow. Okay. So you didn't get anything that touched you or,
No, but spending the night there, you don't sleep very easily. You're kind of half listening to what might be happening in town. But it's just a charming little town.
So now, all right. So charming town. What about shops, restaurants? That's got to be there. I know Texas likes to eat. You guys
Oh
have
yeah.
good food.
A busy place on the weekends because it has such great restaurants. And in the fall they have an Oktoberfest. They have breweries where they actually make the brewers. I don't think they have spirits, a distiller there, but it has great Oktoberfest kind of German places because in Texas we have a lot of German influences with Fredericksburg and other communities. So you'll find really good beer and German food in Granbury.
I like this. I like that. And German food. And you know what? Everywhere I've been to Texas always has good ice cream. There's an ice cream thing going on. And I believe, is it Bonnie Blue Bonnet ice cream? What is the
Bluebell?
Bluebell?
Renham. Oh, yeah, that is the place to go.
Okay. So, all right. So we want the ice cream. I mean, it is summer. We want the ice cream. I don't care what time of year it is. Even Christmas, I want ice cream. Don't you? I mean, it's an important thing. So shopping, when we look at shopping, because it's part of the feature we're talking about, is really getting to understand small town America and looking at all, the history like we've talked about and the haunted history, of course, but also, restaurants like you were talking about, breweries, that kind of thing. But shopping, when we look at shopping for friends, ourselves, it's sometimes really cool to not do everything on the big box stores online. Not knocking them. I'm just saying it's really nice to go get something truly unique and actually enjoy the experience of shopping when you're looking for something specific. Would you say this is a destination to do this?
Oh yeah, that is such a good point. I don't go shopping. And you go to these little towns and you're relaxed, you're browsing, and you see these wonderful front windows with all of these darling cute little things that you don't see anywhere else. And you go in and the shop owners are so friendly, and there's a wineries with the tasting rooms. That's another fun thing. So yeah, shopping is a big part of little towns, especially when you're a visitor to that little town.
Exactly. It's fun. And you'll find things that you never, no one's going to get the same thing at Christmas,
Right.
It's like this came from thought and some place unique. And like, our friend Linda Kassam, she was always collecting shot glasses everywhere she went for a friend. And so this person has a global collection of shot glasses. But how cool is that? That's not, it's different because she personally went there versus getting it online. There's a difference.
Right. And I like antique stores. There's an antique store or two. You go in and you never know what you're going to find. Maybe it's not truly an antique, but it's just weathered and it's got character and you want to take it home with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Everyone, again, the story is linked in the episode notes, and you can keep up with Sharon at SharonKKurtz.com. That's Kurtz with a K. And again, she's on Big Blend Radio every first Wednesday, telling us all about her adventures across the country and around the world. Thanks so much, Sharon.
It was fun, Lisa. See you next time.
So as we continue our Main Street, downtowns, villages, plazas, you name it. I mean, we're going all over the country, around the world on this show. We're going to go to Washington State, and we have Joelle Macy joining us. Joelle and Ryan Slow run and operate wandererscompass.com. This is an amazing travel blog, and they go around the world. Literally, the last time we chatted with them, they had been to Ireland, they've been to Turkey, every time we talk to them, they've just come back from another international destination or the Presidio in San Francisco. So excited to have Joelle here to talk about one of her favorite destinations in the state that she lives in, which is Washington State. She's going to take us to Snoqualmie, which Nancy and I have actually been through a few times. And this area of, Washington State is drop dead gorgeous, but I think Snoqualmie is pretty darn cool. So, Joelle, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Lisa?
Doing good. So Snoqualmie, am I getting it now?
Totally getting it right. It's a
Thanks
lovely
to
little
you.
town in the Cascade Mountains. So it's sort of what you'd call almost at the foothills of the Cascade Mountains before you head up into Snoqualmie Pass. It's just a small, very historic, charming town full of natural beauty, stunning beauty with these massive mountains and so forth. So it's always been like a favorite place. It's an easy visit from Seattle. It's like 25 miles from Seattle. The closest major airport, SeaTac, is 30 miles away. So it's just easily located, but you feel like you're a million miles away from any city because it's just a complete tiny little piece of heaven just hiding, in the midst of this, larger metropolis. So it really is a special place, and I've always enjoyed bringing visitors there, or sometimes just pop over myself because I love just walking downtown and so forth.
So the downtown, it's not like, is it a historic main street or is it more like a village in the mountains? Because I know we've been through there and I remember going, oh my gosh, this is so charming. And I remember going to a Pacific Crest trailhead out there somewhere from the Pacific Crest Trail and just going, this is just incredibly beautiful. And so what's the downtown like? Is it Main Street, a village? What would you
It's a main
describe it?
street, and I would call it a main street that has really made the effort because the town dates from the 1800s. It's one of the big logging towns in the sense that a lot of logging activity and so forth came through this town, and the railroad went through the heart of Main Street, which brought in, of course, lots of logs and as well as passengers that were coming to start life or to work in the Pacific Northwest back in the 1800s. So the downtown is quite historic. It has really worked to keep a lot of the original historic homes there. So when you walk downtown, they've done an incredible job, not only with the landscaping and the feel and the public parks, but it has really tried to keep the historic buildings as well as, instead of tearing them down, they're now local shops or restaurants, or there's even some wine tasting rooms and so forth. In the second street behind the main street, you've got a very popular brewery that is a huge success there that brings a lot of people as well. The Snoqualmie Brewery, Snoqualmie Falls Brewing. Just you've got a railroad, an old historic railroad station from the 1890, still basically restored back to its original look. There's a museum in there that's free that you can visit. It's not big, but it's just charming. A cute little story by every railroad knickknack you can imagine. And then right down the street, there's a whole bunch. There's a railroad club that keeps a lot of old railroad cars, but they have a few right there at the station you can go into, you can climb into, you can see what it's like in those days. And then they also have the train. The train, you can board an old train that actually takes you on a ride through that area, which is, like I said, stunning mountains, waterfalls, and so forth. And that has become a very popular train, especially in the winter, but it works every weekend and it just draws a lot of visitor by itself. So it really is a complete feel. You've got the restaurants, you've got the wine and the beer, but you also got a river that runs right next to Main Street, and which of course has made it prone to flooding over the years. But you've also got the railroad station and beautiful landscaping and parks and history and old train cars. So it really pulls it all together in this really amazing, making it such a cool place. You got your ice cream shops, you got your antique shops, and it's just something about the feel. But it's interesting as I knew people who lived there, and there's a community there too. This is not, it doesn't feel touristy. When you're there, you definitely realize, there's still an old bowling alley right there in Main Street. So there's still a sense of that community as well as being this incredibly well-preserved historic town. And I think what makes this town even so special even more so, is just down the road. Shortly down the road is the infamous Snoqualmie Falls. And this alone draws an enormous amount of people here. It's very tall. Niagara Falls is 167 feet tall. This is 268 feet tall. Gorgeous park next to it. The falls year round are absolutely breathtaking. The park around it is so much fun to walk around, have a picnic. It was also one of the first hydroelectric projects in all of the United States. So there's a lot of information there, a lot of placards describing how it was made, and it still is. It is why we have such low cost energy in our part of the country, because a lot of people are supplied their electricity from those falls to this day. So you've got these stunning falls down the street. You got this romantic Salish Lodge that overlooks the falls, and right down the road you got this charming historic downtown with a railroad station and a train. It just pulls it all together. There's something about this that every visitor that comes see me that I take there are always like, oh my gosh, can we go back? And then outdoor activities, you got Mount Si down the road that has amazing hiking. Skiing is 30, 40 minutes away in the winter. Water activities, you've got the river. River rafting is huge there. And so you'll always see people on the river that's right near the main street sitting there, rafting down the river. So there's just so many cool activities. And of course, fishing. Fly fishing is also huge here as well. So it's just a really neat community that's a sort of so close to major destinations. So people come to Seattle, they never think to go there. And it's such an easy stop. It's literally right off I-90, the main interstate throughout the United States. And boom, you're there and you've just escaped into a new dimension.
I love this because, you talk about all these things around it. So it's like the downtown is like the village. It's like the hub. So you go out, you can hang out in the downtown, but this is like your home, right? And then you go out, explore, go hike, go to the waterfalls. I've done that pass in a storm at night, which I thought I was going to die. We were on our way to our friend. He was camp hosting in Lake Cochise. And I was just like, Frank, why are we doing this in the middle of midnight or something to get to you? This is nuts. But we made it. And the next morning we were like, wow. And we did go over to Snoqualmie and just, it was, this was about, I'm going to say 15 years ago or so. So it was a while ago, but you were talking about one area, which I believe is known for Twin Peaks, right?
Yes, the Mount Si, which is an amazing, good, challenging hike, was actually the basis for Twin Peaks because it has two peaks. So Twin Peaks is there, and actually the cafe that Twin Peaks was based in, and that some of the filming of the show there is right there in nearby in the town next to Snoqualmie, North Bend. And so right there you've got, but when you're in Snoqualmie, you can also see Mount Si in the distance, which is what in the show was called Twin Peaks. Keeping in mind, Snoqualmie does come from an Indian name. The Snoqualmie tribe obviously has a very, cultural significance in the area. And to this day, they own quite a bit of the land still there. They actually own and manage the Salish Lodge and hold a lot of effort there to maintain their heritage and tell their story. And there is a casino there named after that's part of the Snoqualmie tribe. There's also a really cool Snoqualmie tribe cultural center. So that really connects you to the significance of this history that remains a very important heritage for the Snoqualmie tribe, who is still active in the area as well. And then, of course, they're known for their harvest festivals. They love celebrating the area's agricultural heritage, and that tying into that community spirit there is very much part what's it still, I think, keeps that charm of that town and keeps it from being too touristy because it still has worked very hard to maintain that community. So those locals are as involved no matter what time, what's going on from a tourist perspective.
I love that. I love that. For movie and film buffs, if you're going to go up there and experience Twin Peaks, I hope you find pie somewhere. That's important. We have to have
Yes.
cherry pie. But around the corner is Roslyn, and I'm just going to bring this in as a downtown because it was,
Yes, it is.
oh my gosh. So this is where Northern Exposure was filmed, not in Alaska, but in Washington State. And our friend Frank took us there, and I was beside myself because I love Northern Exposure, and it's making a comeback because I think it got on one of the streaming services now. And I don't know, every time I go on Facebook, I'm getting ads for Northern Exposure, and I'm like, yes, I do love you. I love that show. It starts with the music, right? The music and the moose walking down the street, and I was so bummed because I want the moose. But we went to the saloon.
Yep. I was there last summer.
When we went to Roslyn, it was summer and there were flowers everywhere. And, all these little houses, it was such a little village kind of thing. And then here's the saloon, this iconic saloon. And I think they sold, I think I saw something like that. So I may be wrong, but I was so thrilled to go to the saloon because this was one of those old saloons with the old, long wooden bars. But the spittoon is, the spittoon to me was cool. And they have races with little yacht thingies down there once a year or something. And then, the mural is there. And then you can see the radio station. And we had just started podcasting when we were there. So I think, it's got to be 15, 16. We're 18 years in this year, so maybe even 17 years ago.
Wow.
That we were there. And I'm looking at this going, Nancy, come on, man. We can be John Corbett, but we want him here too because he's super cute, isn't he? Sorry, I know he's got Bo Derek and I can't beat that, but like, I want to live there. I looked at her, I'm like, we want to live here. We need to live here. And then reality set in. But did you feel that going there? I
Yeah, I
love
was
it
there
there.
last year. I spent 3 days there last year. So we stayed in the area, went downtown, went to that specific saloon. It's very much a Western feeling town. It's on the other side of Snoqualmie, past from Snoqualmie. So it's actually just keep going down I-90 and you will hit Roslyn. It's the first town, significant town after you go over the pass. And there's a lot of charm there. There's also a lot of wealth there because they have a big resort community right next by where people build homes and live on the
Oh,
resort,
I
which
didn't
is
know
where,
that.
yeah, we very big success. It probably wasn't around when you were back then. This is, I don't know, 10 years or so old. But the Roslyn's right by, and that's where you go for dinner, and that's where you go see things. And it's very different feel than Snoqualmie, in my view, but at the same time, the history, the charm, and very much the Western feel of Roslyn is being preserved and actually enhanced, especially because of this resort community nearby. It brings a lot of people to the area, so there's a lot more restaurants. There's
Oh,
a
that's
lot
good
more really
news.
cool things to do downtown as a result.
Yeah, that's good because then they can, be successful economically and that's why we're doing the show. It's about getting out and supporting independent and small businesses, and
Mhm.
sometimes you have to hold hands with the bigger people, and that's a good thing. You balance out these relationships. I'm really glad we touched upon all of this because that's the thing. And these places that keep their authenticity, like I love that word and I'll
So
say it
do
10
I.
different ways. Authenticity. I love those kind of communities because they're preserving their history and their charm, their character. And I think I almost want to call it a hamlet, Roslyn, more than
Oh,
even
yeah.
a village. Wouldn't you say? It's like I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. It's like Snoqualmie's a village. It's small. Roslyn's bigger. It takes a little bit to drive through the town of Roslyn, and it's got its more residential areas. It's got its beaten down areas, but it's got its really old historic charm downtown.
Wow.
And there's a lot of growth going on, as I say, a lot of growth. And so
Wow.
that
Because
really
I'm
makes a
thinking
big
that
difference.
Snoqualmie,
No,
Roslyn.
very small. The town itself, the historic downtown, is very small. And there's a big area nearby called Snoqualmie Ridge, which is technically not part of it. That's where tons of new homes are being built, and there's fancy shopping centers and all that. Now, the downtown of Snoqualmie, I don't know, maybe I'm guessing here a mile, maybe not even that long, and it maybe goes 2 blocks back till you get to the river, and then the town with homes go for another couple of blocks in, and that's it. The falls are probably another mile down the road beyond that. So it's pretty intimate. It's small, it's intimate, packed with charm, and definitely as many times as I've been there, I don't get tired of just walking, enjoying the scenery or the parks or the river or the brewery, whatever we choose to do. It's really got great restaurants and so forth as well.
Well, we were just talking about this the other night. The pet log person, was she in Twin Peaks or Northern Exposure? Because now they're actually so close to each other, it's kind of weird that we're talking. There's a pet log lady, and I don't know which place she was in, and she recently passed. And I'm like, she's a pet log lady. Now I don't, I think she is Twin Peaks. The pet log lady is Twin Peaks. That would be a David Lynch pet log. So everyone go get some pie somewhere out there. It's bound to be good. So thank you so much, everyone. WanderersCompass.com is the website to go to keep up with Ryan and Joelle as they travel the country and the world. And stay tuned. We got more. So as we talk about downtowns, historic villages, plazas in the Southwest, old town squares, we also want to go across the country, which we've been doing on these shows, but also go overseas. And today we have Judy Carnia joining us. She's a travel writer, and you can follow her on travelingnature.com. But I know she loves Portugal, and today she's going to tell us about a place that she hung out with, Coimbra. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but she went there in Portugal, and this is an area that I think we all want to go and explore. I've got an article link in the episode notes that you can check out. It's all part of when she went to Lisbon, and I want to go. I just want to go there so
You
bad,
should.
Judy, because of the music. It's the Fado music. I always
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
go to Lisbon because of the music. And of course, the port is, I mean, come on now. The port. Did you enjoy the port while you were there? I know that's the most important question.
When I was in Porto, yeah, I did go to a port tour, like a tour, and then port tasting.
Mm,
So
very cool. So Coimbra, is it Coimbra or Coimbra?
yeah.
Okay, Coimbra. Ooh, you got it going. So this is a university town.
Yes. Yeah, it's actually one of the oldest universities in Europe, in the world. It
Oh,
started in, I believe, in the 12th century.
oh,
Moved between Coimbra and Lisbon, and then finally established in Coimbra. Yeah, so there's so many interesting things with the university, but then other things as
mm.
well. It's such a nice little town. I took the train from Lisbon, very easy to get there by train. And there's a nice pedestrian street that's all like shops and restaurants. I was there in November, and the weather was great. I mean, it was probably like 50s, 60s. You could sit
Oh,
outside.
wow.
Restaurants have outdoor seating. So the whole pedestrian street is like, lots of patios with outdoor, and, there'd be like a musician or some students singing and playing music to like raise money. Yeah.
Hmm.
And some really neat churches to check out and cloisters where, I mean, I'm not sure what it's like in the summer because I was there in November, kind of off season, but I was in the cloister completely alone, just so
Wow.
peaceful. And like, you're just sitting there like, okay, this is from 12th century or whatever, and I'm sitting here. So
That's
very,
wild.
very cool.
Even the photo you sent us, I'm like, this is so like, it's medieval, right? In a way, when you think
Yeah.
about the timing of it. And your article talks about it and also being along a river, Mondego River. And so it's settled there with the university. And so I love to hear about these. It's so interesting how towns are settled with courthouses and then there's a university and then, and it's kind of the founding of a place. And you always kind of think of, well, who said we need to, set something up here? But I always think a river is always one of those first things. But it's interesting too, you have the river, but you talk about it also having a plaza. And that was something, one of the interviews on this whole feature we're doing, and this is a huge feature. So who knows if this was 1 or 2 or 10 episodes, is Santa Fe, New Mexico. And Debbie Stone was like, oh, we got plazas. You got to include those. And then we think, oh, yeah, Spanish and then now Portuguese. Yeah, plazas are more of a European thing that came over to the States. So yeah, plaza is part of a downtown, so something to think of when we look at like hubs. I think this is really what it's about, is a place that's a hub that's kept its integrity.
Yeah, it's such a great mix of, you have so many things that are so old and, preserved, and you can really see the history, but yet it's a university town. So you see the students, and the students still wear the traditional long black cloaks. And so you see them out in their cloaks. That was kind of the tradition.
Wow.
And of course, it used to be all male. Now it's mixed. See the students out. There's people out, like say outdoor dining and shopping and walking around. So it's a very vibrant city, but yet you see the history as well. So I love that mix.
And now I want to talk, because then you've got museums and I think university and college towns are the best towns because there's this energy. And it's actually interesting because a lot of times, people actually retire in university towns. So I think there's always this balance in these kinds of communities of all ages working together to share knowledge, from the past and present and working to the future, But I have to bring this up. I'm excited. The Cabinet of Curiosities. Please, I cannot wait. Please tell us about this. It's so exciting.
Coolest places in the world that I've been to. And it's at the university, of course. So you go across campus and go, and it's like I'm walking down these hallways, like, like these kind of bare hallways, and like, where am I going? And then you enter this room and it's dark, excuse me, except for inside the cabinets are the lights, and there's different colored lights like violet and blue and red, and it's just filled with curiosities. So, like taxidermy and things, and, like preserved and like formaldehyde, so skeletons. And I'm a science geek, so I was absolutely fascinated. It might not be for everybody. Some people might be a little freaked out to see, like human skulls, or, a bunch of snakes lined up. But to me, I was just like, I was there for a long time, just looking at every cabinet and just really taking it all in.
You're a
Preserves.
retired veterinarian, so people should know that. You're a
Yes.
retired veterinarian, a feline vet, like specialist on this. So when you go in there, are you seeing things that kind of tied to your work as a vet?
Well, yeah, I mean, you see it because you see all the different, but yeah, like I say, all the different preserved animals and skeletons and things like that. So it's
Yeah,
just fascinating.
that is cool. I mean, it's weird. Like I've seen, baby animals and stuff, and you feel bad. And I remember one of the coolest things is seeing a skeleton of a hummingbird.
Yeah,
And that's just like, wow, look at that. I mean, nature is a trip, man. It
yeah,
is. It's like,
exactly. Yeah,
I know
yeah,
people like to, take all kinds of drugs to hallucinate, but if you actually dig into nature, it's pretty trippy
right.
itself. It is. But you also went to a garden. So this is like,
Yeah,
a
the
historic
university.
garden, you know?
Yeah, the university, established a garden too back in the 1700s, and it's beautiful. I mean, there's this like very traditional English garden looking section. There's a greenhouse just like, a bunch of ferns and, all that delicate, leafing of the ferns, and then there's a bamboo stand you can walk through. So it's just a lovely, lovely garden.
So the
Roses and
campus,
flowers.
the campus to you is like part of the main thing to experience, not just the
Yeah.
actual Plaza Village, but the campus. And so you went to Machado de Castro National Museum and probably butchered that saying. Sorry. Okay, you got it, man. Well, you went there. That's the thing I always say.
Yeah.
Pronunciation comes when you get there and you are there physically and
Studying
meeting the
Portuguese
people.
as well.
Yeah. But so this was a museum. Wow. Okay, of the
Yeah, so you go down
Cryptoporticus.
into the
Ooh.
basement. You go down into the basement, it's actually the old Roman city. So,
What?
this used to be a Roman, there's so many, I had not realized until I
What?
traveled to Portugal how much Roman, presence there was there. And so the Roman, I think you call it Aminium was the Roman city, and you can walk through, you're just like walking through the Cryptoporticus, which was, just like a kind of area of in the forum. And
Insane.
some places like you go to Italy and you can't like walk through the forum, you just walk next to it kind of. This you're like walking on the floors and through the passage.
Wow.
So, and again, being in, I don't know what it's like in the summer. In November there was hardly anybody in there, so I'm almost by myself walking through this.
Did you get goosebumps in these
Yeah.
places?
I'm studied Latin in college, and I'm a huge Roman file. So I just love being in places like that to think, wow, Romans walked through here.
Yeah,
So
well, that's what I like about England, where
yeah,
you can walk on roads where the Romans built these roads and they're still like, because they built them high in the middle, like our cars wouldn't like it, but they built them higher in the middle. And like Petter's Way is a famous trail you can take and hike and camp and follow it. And that's a Roman road that is now a hiking trail. And I think that's amazing. You got to think about these. Yeah, that history does give me goosebumps, though. I mean, did you
Mhm.
feel like a presence, like when you're in that rich history? I mean, that is deep, ancient history. Like not
Yeah.
ancient,
I,
but you know.
Yeah, I just feel at home in places like that in a way that I can't in the
Mm.
States. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we're still young in
Right.
indigenous history. If you're talking indigenous history, we get ancient. And so, but when yeah, I mean, I think from being in the West all the time, and then the first time we went back east and we stayed in a bed and breakfast in Pennsylvania, and it was built in the 1700s, I was like, holy cow, this is for real.
Hmm.
That's ancient
Yeah,
for
that
us here.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little old. But then when you go over to where you're talking about, you're talking like a really old village. This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Santa Cruz Church and Monastery, so that's also, you saw an organ with 4,000 pipes? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a photo of it in my article.
yeah, I'm looking
But
at it. I'm jealous.
and even and the choir loft is like all like gold gilded, just this gorgeous choir loft with all the carvings and the golds and there's so many, I mean, throughout Portugal, but again here the blue and white tile, basically like pictures out of tile just lining the walls of some of these churches. It's this just gorgeous and just so impressive.
Wow, your article is incredible. I mean, and everyone just check out the whole article because there's so much in there for what you can do from being in the Lisbon region. Because now I got stuck on a different place, which is interesting to me, which is the Chapel of Bones. I know this is, I'm going off topic, but it's kind of like that. There's that, in the catacombs in Paris. I don't know if you've been there.
Right.
Yeah. There's some interesting places, but I'm going to go back to, I'm going to behave. I'm behaving. I'm scrolling, but this article's insane. This is insane, honestly, where you went. But you got to see a Fado performance.
Yes. Yeah. And in most of Portugal, the women sing Fado. So like if you're in Lisbon, like, when I was there and, you just go to any, like some restaurants, they'll have people singing Fado. But in Coimbra, it was the male students who did it. And they had different songs for like if they were wooing somebody or if there was something sad or something political. So they used it, for different purposes. And so I got to go to a performance where they were former students who now have this place called Fado ao Centro, telling the history of it, telling the stories, and just hearing, just a beautiful, beautiful music.
That's why I wanted to go. But I think going to the university and hearing that, so you get to understand it more than if you're sitting in a restaurant or a bar or something and they perform it. You get to have an understanding. Would you recommend people go to that first so you understand what they're singing?
I recommend both, any music. Lisbon is filled with music, so you can see lots of types of music there. And there's also a place in Lisbon that has kind of the same sort of thing where they describe it to you. But the place in Coimbra was, and afterwards they had a little port afterwards, and a couple of the performers, it came out so you could talk to them and ask them questions. And so that was really, very like community, like where you're actually, people are just gathered in this little courtyard and talking about it. So
and we talk about the historic villages in Lisbon and all these little, I'm just amazed at what you've experienced. And you seem to keep going back there. Is that just me or are you?
Yeah, I'm going. I have my fourth trip to Portugal planned for next month. And
okay,
I can. I first went 2 years ago and just fell in love. Lisbon is like my favorite place in the world.
I have a lot of friends who that happens to. So when you come back, please come back on the show and let's do a whole show on Portugal. We'll do a whole show and with you and focus on everywhere you've been. But my gosh. Boy, did you blow our socks off with this one. And I want the cabinet of curiosities. That is super cool. Do you go to medical museums when you travel? Like medicine where they...
Yeah, if I see them,
You do the things where it shows you all the... And you go, ew, that thing had to pull our teeth out. And we didn't have this. Yeah, it is fascinating. It's like morbid fascination. Yeah. I'm with you. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Judy. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And everyone, again, the article is on travelingnature.com, but the link is in the episode notes. Boy, man, I think you killed us all on this. Not killed us, but you know what I mean. You got us on the history here, big time. Thank you.
Coimbra it's a wonderful place.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.